We are accelerating towards one of the most important transfer windows in Manchester United's recent history. The right business under Erik Ten Hag this summer could see us take 2 steps forward or potentially 2 steps back. Rivals such as Chelsea and Liverpool are probably going to bounce back, and City and Arsenal are likely going to be in the mix, if not strengthening with what goes on. The likes of Newcastle are going to be around for a long time now and more attractive proposition, especially with Champions League football. United have to get this right to see our continued improvement that we've made this season progress into the summer and maybe even elevate us to being able to give a solid title charge. We can't get this summer wrong. Missing now in the current rebuild might see us fall back into Europa League again. For United to push on and progress, we have to establish ourselves as a regular in the Champions League. We can't be in one season, out the next. We have to start looking like a stable Champions League competing, Premier League competing club. So there's a couple of options that I think are worth us looking at that might make a massive difference to us. And we're going straight back to South America again. There's been some phenomenal imports from South America in recent years, and I don't think that trend is going to slow down anytime soon. And the first one I want to look at is Alan Varela. So central defensive midfielder, 21 years of age. He's at Boca Juniors. Now, Varela is a promising defensive midfielder who's the latest sort of young Argentinian to join the list of stars produced by Boca Juniors. He's got this defensive reliability and a really impressive range of passing that many have tipped for Alan to become one of the best midfielders in the world in the coming years. This isn't like, no, people are talking about this kid going all the way to the top. He's already been linked with a move to Barcelona. Everyone gets linked to Barcelona. It's not really a massive thing. But also Newcastle as well, which is a very, very interesting one. And I think it's worth us taking a closer look as to why. Out of possession, Varela offers a real level of security that enables all the rest of the midfielders to advance and take risks on the ball. And in modern football, you've got to take risks in midfield. There has to be the quality with that. You can't just be willy-nilly pinging stuff around, but you have to take risks to make something happen. Despite his age, he's got a real maturity and an intelligence that regards to the positioning that he just seems to find and sniff out the right sort of position to be in. He's got a fantastic reading of the game, and he's also got the ability to sort of frequently snuff out opposition transitions, which is vital for any sort of elite team, because when you're playing in the opposition half, when you lose the ball, you are extremely vulnerable for the 40 metres of space that exist on the other side of the halfway line. Quick teams with pace can always cause you problems. So having someone that just knows the right spot to be in at 21 as well is a phenomenal asset. One of the biggest compliments I think I could play to Varela is that he always wants the ball, and he really does take care of it once he gets it. Never seems panicked with him at his feet. So composed. Has got clever little drops of the shoulder, which, sometimes, like, I'd compare this. I've got a mate called Roffers, right? When you're playing football with Roffers, everybody else is getting smashed into. And Roffers had this ability to just have time and space on the ball when chaos was ensuing around him. He went and played in Australia. He was good. And he just seemed to have this knack of, no matter what carnage was going on, at a high level, obviously, the likes of Paul Scholes have got this thing where everybody else is getting smashed into, everyone else is having to run into areas or dribble it to get away from people. But these players, sometimes there's players that just can walk about the place, that can just drop it. And the little drops of the shoulder that you see from Alan really sort of mimic that sort of thing, where they just buy this endless time on the ball. And his passing's not Pirlo or Scholes. He's not that sort of over extravagant. He just sort of keeps it ticking nicely. Michael Carrick-esque, if you like. Now, that's not to say that he isn't averse to those line-breaking passes or even a cross-field switch of play. He's got both of those in his locker, but you see him keeping it simple first, and I like that about him. He's got this capacity to recycle the ball, which means that he keeps pressure off. And I think he's perfectly suited to a team that wants to be possession heavy. Now, I think he's the perfect understudy to Casemiro. He's got a similar sort of blend in his game where he's got off-the-ball intensity, but he's got a crispness and effective passing with range. And he could even fill in at fullback, out of possession, a little bit like we saw Casemiro do occasionally at Real Madrid. He's aggressive, he's diligent, he's industrious, and he's got an elegance and a finesse when he's in possession. That is how I would describe Alan, and I think it's no surprise to see him linked to the likes of Barcelona, Ajax, Bayer Leverkusen. Despite the fact he's only 21 years old, he is a player who, in my opinion, doesn't need any sort of time to adapt to top-level football. He's very much one that comes in and probably just get straight on the rotation of playing. And he could possibly tie down that spot and make it his own. He's definitely one for the future, but he's also one for the now as well. And I think he's more than capable of improving many a Champions League level team. And he's not even close to reaching his ceiling. There is a release clause of 15 million euros on him. 50? No, 15. 1-5. That's an absolutely mouth-watering proposition for a player that's going to be worth so much in the future. Next up, Randall Kolo Muani. This one's been asked about for a couple of you, actually. And there's been some people sort of getting on to Muani. 24 years of age from Frankfurt. Despite the positives that we've seen at United this season, the one thing that we know is that we need more depth, we need more quality, we need more goals. That can be said all over the pitch, but up front, it is so dire that we need. That number 9 needs competition, it needs space. Now, we've been linked with Kane, Howson, and that's two very serious options that I think hugely improve Manchester United. But there's another name that's been floating around European football, I think that would be a fantastic option, and that's Kolo Muani. He's having a very, very impressive first season over in Bundesliga for Eintracht Frankfurt. He's dynamic, sort of link player that's less of an out-and-out number 9 than some, but Harry Kane sort of fits that kind of mould as well. I think when you watch him, you get the feeling that he's definitely played on the wings throughout his youth days and probably swapped around in different positions during his development. It looks quite obvious when you're kind of watching him play at the moment. He is pacey. He is obviously dynamic, excellent and intelligent in 1v1 situations, which allow him to play to equal effect, whether that's up front or out on the wing. He's creative. And like I said, he likes to drop deep, and he's clever with his vision and his passing. And there's elements of the way he does that remind you of the way Harry Kane sort of does that. But he's also 6'2", and he's got a real physical presence, and he's strong enough to go toe to toe with centre halves in the Premier League, shrug off challenges, and also get his head on the end of stuff and be a threat at set pieces. This season in the Bundesliga has seen him take his game to another level. And that's probably the 3rd season in a row he's done this. This year, all competitions, 40 appearances, 34 goal contributions. That's 20 goals, 14 assists, 13 goals, 12 assists in 28 games in the league. Brilliant. Definitely one to be looking at. And finally, one that I think we tried to go for in a big way last year, and for whatever reason, we stalled on that. Now, that's Jurrien Timber from Ajax. Now, Timber plays mainly as a centre-half in a back 4. He can also deputise at right-back if needed. He is in the top 5% for progressive carries, successful take-ons, progressive passes, and pass completion. Having come through Ajax Academy, he is, of course, extremely technically proficient, and he likes to carry the ball into the opposition half. You know all the reasons why Ten Hag's having him. When it comes to stepping in, and ball playing, he is one of the better centre halves in Europe. He would absolutely elevate our ball playing ability single-handedly. He's got great positioning, he's got a fantastic ability to read the game, but he's also an aggressive defender that will be strong in the tackle against opposition forwards. He can play at centre half, he can play right back, he can play defensive mid if need be. Now, if you was to bring him in and have him as a centre half, he is just 5'10", and I think if you play him and Martinez together, you are asking for trouble. Whether or not you're asking for trouble in open play, because I think the way both of them read the game is fantastic, but at set pieces really is like a zero-sum sort of game. You're just completely reducing football down to a rugby line-out sort of affair. So there's not much skill, there's not much guile. It's can we whip this in and can the big lad get his napper on it? So if you've got 2 centre-halves that can't reach the top shelf, at set plays, you're going to get found out, I think. So I could see him coming in as United as potentially as a backup sort of rotational option, defensive mid, or coming in and being the right back. Centre half alongside Martinez, Not sure that that's the one. But in terms of him, clever in his defending, quick, physical beyond his size, quite reminiscent of Paddy Evra in that kind of sense. Out-and-out footballer, ridiculous ceiling, and obviously, like we said, the weakness is the fact that he's short. Not a problem if he was playing right back, and I think he'd be a pretty decent option for us there. But he's a modern footballer. He's got great skill with the ball, and for a team that's going to have such high percentage of the ball in every match, having a defender like Timber who's comfortable with the ball at his feet is a big factor. He knows how to control the pace. He knows how to defend. Ten Hag's very familiar with him. The likes of Anthony, familiar with him. Could be something that really helps Manchester United settle next season. Price-wise, yeah, Ajax had our pants down a little bit over the last couple of seasons. They should have a United section built somewhere in Amsterdam with the amount of money that we've give Ajax. But I would give it them and see what happens. Anyway, that's it for me. Give me your thoughts on those 3 suggestions. And I'll see you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.